Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of the show. And look who's back once again. Mr. Arjen Anthony Lucassen is back once again on Sea of Tranquility. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Hi, Peter. All good here. All excellent. Doing promotion for the new album, and people are excited, so I'm happy.
Well, we love to have Arion on the channel as often as possible, but of late, he's been pumping out some pretty cool albums not too far from each other. And that's always a good time to have him on the channel when a new album is out. And we got a really good one for you once again today. Supersonic Revolution is the brand new band project.
Yeah. Band. Call it a band. Call it a band. This time it's a band.
Golden Age of music, right? And I think
Yes.
the title is perfect for the album. If you haven't heard it, trust me, once you hear it, you'll know why it's called the Golden Age of music. And there is
Absolutely.
the band.
Yep.
So I'm going to let you talk about the band and the guys in the band and how this all came
Sure.
out, because this is not something that's been in the works for a long period of time, right? I mean,
No, not at all. It was all very spontaneous. Usually it's not spontaneous for me, but this time it was. No, it was a magazine, the German magazine, and they record this rock book. Oh, I'll show it to you. It's very cool. I don't know if you know it.
no, wow.
Oh, it's got like they take all these bands like here T-Rex, Uriah Heep, Camel, etc., and they review all the albums and they put them in order and all the tracks, and it's very cool. And anyway, they have a cover mount CD with every book, and the first two books they contacted me, said, "Do you have a cover for us?" And I did. "Do you have a Floyd cover?" "I do, you know." But this time I didn't. And I said, "Well, give me the list." And I saw ZZ Top there. I said, "Well, I can do that." They said, "There's only one problem. We need it within a week." And I was like, "Oh my God, you know." So I thought, how am I going to do this? But I was determined to do it. So I went to WhatsApp and I contacted my favorite musicians here in Holland. And within 10 minutes, I had a band together, you know, and they all said, "Well, we don't have time, but for you, we'll do it and you'll have it tomorrow." And they did, you know, and they sent it to me, and I'm this horrible perfectionist, and usually I'm not happy at all, you know, and I keep sending people back, "Can you change this? Can you change that?" But this time I got it in and it was all brilliant. So within a few days I was ready with the cover, and a ZZ Top song. I heard it on the X, and then I had to quickly think of a name. So I thought of, you know, I'm like a Star Trek fan, so I thought like Arjen Lucassen Federation. You know, that sounds cool. But of course, the abbreviation of that is ALF, which is cool if it's an alien life form. But you know, ALF, they think of, you know, the hand puppet. So, but it was called ALF, and I think it was in April it was released, so it went on Facebook, and it was like April Fool's Day, and everyone was like, "Yeah, sure, he calls his band ALF," you know. And that's when I realized that's might be a bit too silly. I mean, we're rather silly in the band, but that would be too silly. So changed the name. But yeah, anyway, it was such a great experience, and the song was finished, and we thought, like, really, is this it, you know? And shall we do a few more covers or whatever? And I was like, let's do our own songs, and I'll write one song and see if there's a chemistry, see if it works. And the first song I wrote was "Came to Mock, Stay to Rock," which is the most complicated song on the album. And sent it to the guys, and again I got it in. It was all great, and we had this WhatsApp group where it's typically Dutch humor. We were like insulting each other, and then that's funny somehow. But no, it was just a great experience, and yeah, suddenly we had an album.
Yeah.
So yeah, also really spontaneous.
Yeah. And then let me show everybody another shot of the guys here.
Yeah,
And,
that's the only serious photo in the book.
yeah, you all look very serious here. But most of these folks here, if they've followed you in your career and your music, I mean, none of these guys should be strangers to anybody. These are folks I've worked with before, and
Yeah.
I gotta say, I mean, JC sounds tremendous on this album.
I know, yeah. You like Jay, you already like JC with
Yeah, I
the
mean,
Rebel of
I
Time, I
love his
think.
stuff in Praying Mantis, and I thought he was
Yeah,
tremendous on the Star One album.
I know.
And Tino sounds great on this album. I mean, everybody plays great on here, so that I
Yeah.
mean, can't really single out anybody because it's a true band effort. But I think most folks will be surprised to see that you're just playing bass, right? You're just a bass player in this band.
I mean, with a guitar player like this, Teemo, you know, I mean, to quote Spinal Tap, I may as well use it as a coffee table, you know. It's really, you know, this guy is so incredibly good. I mean, you reviewed the Reveling Time album, and of course it had like Steve Vai and Bumblefoot and Adrian Vandenberg and Joel Hoekstra and Bumble. I don't know, you know, the best guitar players in the world, and it had Timo,
Yeah,
and his solo stood out. You know, it was
yeah,
like, oh my God, this Dutch guy.
yeah.
So he was my first choice for this album. And you know he's so good. Really, he's the reason that I stopped practicing. Guitar players like him are the reason that I stopped practicing. You know, long time ago. So yeah, I was not going to touch the guitar with Teemo on the album.
Yeah, you don't really have to, right?
No, I don't have to.
And
No,
Juiced you've worked with quite a bit in the past. You got a
a
couple
lot.
runs, so yeah, this is, like I said, these are familiar names, but you guys all kind of came together quickly, and it's really funny because uh, many months ago, you and I were still talking about the Star One album, and then Aryan sent me a message through Facebook, and he goes, "I'm working on this new thing, and I
Yeah,
want you to hear a song. I'm going to send you the files if you'd like." And I'm like, sure, sure. And
yeah, yeah,
he sent me actually, I think the first track you guys recorded, the first original track from this album.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm digging this quite a bit. So I was pleasantly surprised when I heard that this was coming out fairly quickly, which is
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So,
It was Burn It Down, I remember, and I know you're a big Purple fan.
right.
And actually, that track is about Smoke on the Water. I just, you know, I was watching YouTube and fell asleep, and I woke up, Smoke on the Water was playing, and I was, what makes this song so good? You know, can I do that? And I went up, got my guitar, and came up with a riff that was very similar to Smoke on the Water. And I was like, can I do this? You know, the guys are going to sue me. I mean, this is too much. And then I thought, what if I exaggerate it? What if I make a song about Smoke on the Water? So I came up with the idea. Of course, everyone knows Some Stupid with a Flare Gun burned the
Sure.
casino down where Frank Zappa was playing. They saw Smoke on the Water. And I was like, what if I explain who it was, why he did it, and what happened to him?
Right.
So the
Because some
whole
people don't know that story, right?
no, no, and the whole lyric is written from the viewpoint of the stupid with a flare gun. And
Right.
of course, I made it all up, but
Yeah, and I'll read it for you here. I saw you last night down at Lake Geneva, hot as hell, legs for miles. I started talking, you started walking, and then you pushed me aside. Now I'm a hard-headed man with a hard-headed plan, never backing down. So I asked you out, but you fed me some lie. My cat's sick and my dog just died.
yeah. So the guy burned the place down because she was going to see Frank Zappa and he was going to ruin the evening for her. There you
Right,
go.
there you go. And it's funny because we're sitting here reciting lyrics to this. It's all very tongue in cheek, and it's
Oh
basically
yeah.
you know uh having fun with the lyric and the story behind a very popular and legendary song. But
Mhm.
and I said it on my review here on the channel of this album, one of the things about this album that I love so much is that it's a lot of fun. And it's like you could tell that you guys had fun with it. You can tell that you guys came up with songs that were obviously inspired by all of your musical heroes. I mean, I always like to throw out all these band names, right? So I listened to this, and the first thing that came to mind, I'm like, okay, Deep Purple, Uriah Heep, and then I'm like, you keep listening, I'm like, I hear a little David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust era. I hear a little Sweet, right? I hear a little this, a little of that, and but you guys, I don't think you guys purposely said, let's do an album where we mimic our heroes. Let's
Mhm.
just organically come up with stuff that is inspired by all the bands we grew up on. That's why I think the name of the album, Golden Age of Music, is terrific, because that's where this takes you, right? It just kind of, it's a fun way to go back and revisit all these great bands of music that we all grew up with. I mean, all of us in this age group, right? And I think that that's the way the listener has to kind of view this. And then covers are fun too, right? And obviously, you know, with the covers, you can do some fun updated things with some classic songs. But I think the original material is loads of fun, and it's just, it kind of brings this whole nostalgia thing. So I don't know, maybe you want to expand on that a little bit and talk about kind of.
Well, fun is the key word for sure. You know, this project, there was no pressure, nothing. You know, it was just, let's have fun, let's not think about it. And basically, I think because we did the ZZ Top cover, I was thinking, like, why don't we just celebrate the 70s? I mean, they were my formative years. I was born in 1960, so I think when you're between 10 and 20, that's the music that makes the most impression on you. And and it was cool because I did not want it to sound like the 70s, because it's been done, you know. I mean, I can't do another Stargazer or Kashmir or Child in Time or Stairway to Heaven. I can't, you know, it's legendary. And so I didn't want it to sound like the 70s. I wanted to get the feel of the 70s, the instrumentation of the 70s, but definitely not the sound. So the great thing is that 3/5 of this band weren't even alive in the 60s. I mean, not even in the 70s, not even in the 80s. I mean, the guitar player is half my age, I'm sorry to say.
So and that's one of the cool things, because he brings a very modern sound.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Like I mentioned, like when I was listening to this the first couple times, I'm thinking, all right, so he's bringing this kind of crunch and like flashy style of guitar playing. I thought like Primal Fear, right? You know, those guys in Primal Fear are just amazing players, but they're all very modern metal players, you know, power metal and whatnot. And I think that he adds that element to this band that, you know, you're thinking of the classic stuff, but he brings this modern sensibility, which makes it all really work, I think, and doesn't make it fully derivative at all.
I hope not. I hope not, you know. Of course, I talk about my heroes, all the bands you just mentioned, but I didn't want to sound like them. I mean, there are little hints, you know, like at the end of Rise of the Starman is obviously about Ziggy Stardust. And if you listen to the ending, I don't think anyone has commented on that. You hear like the beginning of 5 years, you know, it's like a little drum loop at the end, you know. So there are like little hints here and there, but I do think it sounds like now. That was very important for me.
Yeah,
you know, I don't want to be the old bastard who's stuck in the past, and I am, but
well, we all are
not to be with them.
We all are to an
definitely. Oh yes.
And you know how because the last time we talked, we got into this a bit. How refreshing is something like this to do, as opposed to the stress of having to go out and find, you know, Star One and Arion go out to find all these perfect voices or instrumentalists for specific songs and characters, and trying to, you know, procure these people to get them to appear. I know that's got to be maddening, right? It's a lot of planning. So how is this different? This just came about quickly and boom, here it is.
It's definitely the downside of Arion and Star One, you know, getting all these people. I mean, once you got them, you know, well, I got Steve Vai, you know, it's the best feeling ever, but it takes half a year, you know, to get a guy like that. And it takes, you're nervous, and shall I bother him again, you know, and that's one. And two, then all these famous people send me their files, and will it be good, you know? Will I have to tell Michael Romeo, sorry, man, yeah, it's okay, but can you improve? You're not going to, you know? So I was always nervous when I got to, it's just a nervous time. And this time there was no nerves at all. It was just Dutch guys I know well, guys who had fun, and guys who sent me stuff that I liked. So it was very refreshing. I mean, I will definitely get back, you know, to working with the big guys and the heroes, because it is rewarding and it is challenging. But this was a fun side project to do, for sure.
And I love JC's little kind of quote about how he's loved working with you all these years, but that it was always his dream to be in an actual band with you. And so
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that how you all are looking at this now? I mean, so I guess like my question is, we know that the Arion and Star One trains will come back into the station again at some point in the not too distant future. But what are your plans for this band? I mean, is this something that you think that you can kind of revisit every couple of years, or is there like what's the? I mean, I know it's brand new, but what's the future of Supersonic Revolution?
Would be great. I mean, there's one of the questions in the questionnaire that we asked each member in the booklet, and everyone was like, "Yeah, is that a rhetorical question?" Of course. So I would love to do another one, but it's so hard to plan for me because things happen spontaneous. Now the Arion shows are coming in September, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be a lot of preparations for that one. When it's done, we're going to release a DVD. So the sound has to be mixed, the DVD has to be edited. That is another half year, and now some people contacted me if I want to do an album, write an album for them. So that's what I'm working on now. So I can't promise anything, but I would love to do another one. And lots of people are already suggesting this album is about the 70s. What about an album about the 80s, which is not my favorite period. It's usually I like bands up to the 80s, and then they go all wrong in the 80s, and then it's cool again at the 90s. But nevertheless, maybe it's I think Martin Popov, he once suggested, why don't you take those 80s songs that sound like really 80s, with all these digital drums and terrible keyboards. Why don't you take those songs, and improve on them? And that's actually a good idea.
That's something to investigate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate, you've got the Arion Live thing coming up. Do you anticipate somewhere down the road? I know you don't do lots of live dates and touring and whatnot. Do you anticipate maybe bringing this band to the stage, even if it's just for like a one-off somewhere down the road?
It is possible. A one-off, the material is quite challenging. It's quite hard to play. A one-off that would take weeks of rehearsals. And once you do that, you want to play more, So if we would do something, it would be like a little tour, maybe, here in Holland or Germany or Belgium, France, that's something like that. It is possible. We all live in Holland. The songs are actually recorded that way, So Made in Japan is still the big album for me, and it's just guitar, Hammond, bass, drum, vocals, and that's the way this one is. I mean, if Teemo is playing a solo, there's no rhythm guitar, and there's just one guitar, there's no doubling, there's no wall of guitars as I usually do on Star One and Arion. So yeah, it is possible, and all the guys are up for it. So, but definitely not this year because I'll be really busy with the Arion shows.
Yeah, it's interesting how whenever there's something going on with Arion or Star One, that's like a big event in your life, right? So that generally, whether it's an album or a bunch of shows or a video release, I mean, you're talking 6 months out of your life at least, right? Or if not more.
A lot more.
More.
I mean, yeah, the like the live shows. It takes us a year of work. So a year in advance, we already start because it's huge. We sold 15,000 tickets in 5 minutes or something. So it's a lot of shows after each other. It's even two shows, Saturday and Sunday. It's two shows a day, and all these people come from all over the place.
I was just going to say, it's not just local people, right? You get from the
No.
U.S. and the U.K.,
Yeah,
Canada.
the last show I got this from the municipality. It's a hard word of Tilburg. It's yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's like from 64 countries, and if they come all the way from the US and Russia and Japan and Argentina, etc., you want to do something extra.
Yeah.
So this is really gonna be huge. You know, we really gonna there's gonna be pyro and lasers and
Big event.
huge lights and LED screens and surround sound and etc. So yeah.
I mean, that, when you think about it, that's a real testament to not only you as an artist and all you've done for this genre, the community, all these years, but is there something to be said about the heart growing fonder when you don't get the chance to see a band play often, that when they do
Oh yeah. Oh,
events, you have to be there? Like, so, you
totally.
don't play often at all. So when there's an Arion or a Star One concert or series of concerts, whatever it might be, that could be the first in almost a decade, right? Or close to it. So if
Even
someone's a
more. Yeah.
fan
Even
and they
more.
want, they don't get to see you every year, right? That's not like,
No.
Arion doesn't tour all around the world every year like some of these bands do.
No.
So they're going to make that effort and whatever the expense to get there to see this show, because it is an actual event.
Yeah. Yeah, because basically I toured the world for 15 years and then I got tired of it. It was not my way of living. So I started the Arion project so I would not have to play live anymore. It was like, let's do rock operas with famous people and I don't have to play live. So for 20 years, we actually did not play live with Arion. And of course, every interview, everyone was asking about it. And then someone did a theater production, became a success. Then we did our own live shows. And now it's almost a biannual event. And I kind of feel a bit antisocial, that people have to come to me. I get so many times, hey, I can't come. Can't you come to Argentina or to Brazil? And it's like, you know, firstly, it's not possible with a huge show like this. And
I could imagine.
there are 100 people involved and there are like 30 musicians involved. I mean, getting them for just these days is hell, takes half a year. And to get them for a whole tour, it's logistically and financially impossible, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned that the touring life just isn't for you anymore. So this has got to
No.
be rewarding to do these, scale down, but still not scale down because the event is pretty big itself. But it's
Yeah.
got to be rewarding to you and maybe more enjoyable that you do these select shows every so often and you don't have to go getting on planes and
Oh, no,
living in
no,
hotels and all
no.
that sort of thing.
Well, enjoyable is still a big word because I'm still nervous as hell. I mean, I got that stage fright, and it's once it's over, once I did my thing, I'm like, yeah, let's do it again next year. But now I'm still in the period where I'm like, oh my god, all these people are
I'm
gonna
doing
get.
this again, right? Yep.
Yeah, I'm really doing this again. And Joost. Juiced, as you call him, he arranges all this, and he's the man, and luckily, because I could never arrange all this, and it's thanks to him, basically, this is happening, because I would be, no, I would be, let's skip it this time, and he would be like, no, we're gonna do it, so he kind of pushes me a little bit, which is a good thing.
It's not easy. I mean, we put on our first little Sea of Tranquility thing last fall here in
Oh, cool,
New York.
cool.
And, that was very small scale compared, but I mean, that's a lot of work that goes into
I
it.
know, I
I can only
know.
imagine, you're
Yeah.
bringing in, we brought in we had a bunch of bands and things and, but, you're trying to bring in musicians to put on this whole performance and you have to rehearse and
Oh yeah.
there's all the stuff that goes into it. So I can only imagine the stress you guys are going through for this.
It's a production team of 6 people, and we have meetings, actual meetings, not Zoom meetings, every month. Yeah, it's complicated, but it's in a way it's also fun to do. You see it grow, and yeah, let's do this, and is this possible? Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, it is rewarding. That's a good word.
And who are you bringing in for this particular set of shows? Who's coming in for this?
Well, it's the 01 album, and we almost got the whole original cast. The only one we didn't get is Floor. So yeah. If I mention, I want to mention them all. I don't want to forget some people. But yeah, the whole cast of 01, basically.
Okay. Wow, nice. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's no easy feat to try and get everybody to commit.
No, 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 because there's two people we just couldn't get. I mean, Floor is huge now, of course, with Nightwish, and she just has her own album going now, and kids, etc., etc. So she felt bad, but she couldn't do it. So, but in her place we have Britney Spears, and she's amazing. For me, she's the best singer in the world in her style at the moment. So, very happy about that.
That's good. That's good. How have the mascot folks been treating you, the label?
Oh, great. They're friends, I mean, so often you hear these horror stories about labels and money, and they want me to do this and that. Not at all, they're my friends. I mean, yesterday we had what do you call it? On Facebook, the whole band was here and we filmed it, and people could ask questions, a Q&A basically.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's all idea of the record company. So the record company guy basically was on a holiday and he came anyway, and he arranged all that, put a camera here, and no, that they're helping me, no, that's the word. They've just become friends of mine, so I don't
That's good.
see it at all as like a label.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys are an interesting fit for this label, right? If you didn't know any better, you'd think, oh, Aryan and all his musical acts would be great on Inside Out or Frontiers or something.
Yeah.
Mascot, mostly known for very guitar-oriented stuff and blues
stuff,
and things like that.
Yeah.
So kind of an weird fit, but I mean, it sounds
well,
like
of course, I was with Inside Out a long time.
Yeah.
Basically, they were not the first label but I've been with them for 10, maybe 15 years. And that was great too, great label. Thomas Waber is cool, and great bands they have, of course, too.
Oh, yeah.
But every now and then it's good to just switch to broaden your horizons, work with another label. And actually, Mascot was the very first label I went to with Arion back in '93. And they were interested, but they simply said, we're not big enough to break this, this is like this huge rock opera and we cannot do it. So I've always stayed in contact with the boss of
back in the '90s, they weren't doing all that much at the time. I mean, they've really come to prominence over the last like 15 years or so.
True.
So yeah.
True, yeah. And of course, back in the '90s, I mean, who wanted to sign a progressive rock opera,
Yeah.
no
Nobody.
one. It was the days of grunge and Nirvana and Pearl Jam and stuff like that. So.
Can you talk a little bit about the artwork? Very nicely done. Has a certain flair to it that will remind people of
Mr. Dean.
Yes, Mr. Dean. Yes.
Actually, I wanted Roger Dean. He's my favorite. Hypnosis, and there's even a song about Hypnosis on the album. Hypnosis and Roger Dean are my heroes. I just bought everything that had a cover. Sometimes it was a disappointment, like I won't mention that. But so I wanted.
Well, we could say you bought the Osabisa albums.
I know. I know.
Actually, those albums are really good, but they're not what you would expect, right? You see those.
No, I know.
I know. Like, oh, this is kind of this weird kind of Afro-Cuban.
But the cover is awesome. Right? But, you were reading my mind. Yeah, I didn't want to say it, But where was I? Oh yeah, Roger Dean. So I tried to get him. I didn't get an answer. So I tried five other people, and they brought me great stuff, but it was just not what I had in mind. And then suddenly I got an answer from Roger Dean. And you won't believe this. He sent me an email. Hi, Aryan, I know you. I bought your last Star One album. Really, he bought Reveling Time.
Wow.
Maybe because the artwork, I don't know, but he loved it, and he said, "Sure, man, I'll do it." And I was like, "Oh my!" One of these moments, like one of these dreams
a super
coming
nice guy.
true.
I've met him a few times.
Yeah, such a nice guy. Such a nice guy.
Yeah.
But and I was like, "Well, when can you do it?" And he said, "I'll do it for you next year, April." And that was a half year.
Can't wait that long.
No. So so unfortunately it didn't happen. And then it was very funny. I was taking a shower. Maybe this is too much information, but I was taking a shower and suddenly I saw the logo on the bathroom wall, and I painted it with my hand, and I quickly ran out of the shower and jotted it down. And suddenly I had this, like the Yes logo, this connection where all the letters were connected. And I just, I drew the SR label logo myself. And then I sent it to experts, who perfected it. And of course, I wanted that Roger Dean gradient in there. And then,
You have to.
it's an album about the 70s, so what the hell?
And I never even noticed it till just now. So you've got the pyramid here. Like there's some interesting things
Oh, yeah,
going on
yeah,
here if you
yeah.
really look closely at it.
Well, of course, you have the Dark Side of the Moon pyramid, and you have Rainbow behind it, like the spectrum. On the left, you see Devil's Tower, which is from Close Encounters. And there's a track on the album about Spielberg. I mean, it's about all that stuff that made an impression on me in the 70s. And of course, Close Encounters, Jaws, Duel made a huge impression on me. And it was my I asked the guy who made the cover. It's actually a real painting. You won't believe it. It's really a painting based on photos. To give it a bit of a Houses of the Holy feel on the bottom, because that has to be my favorite cover of all time.
It's a great one. Yeah, it's a great one. Too bad the folks on Facebook, every time someone posts the image of Houses of the Holy, you get banned because it's like you're,
of course, yeah.
Oh
my God.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right?
Oh my God, it's terrible. Yeah,
it is. But I mean, it's a great cover, and I think it really speaks to what you're in store for when you listen to the album. So I have to ask you, and I apologize, Juiced, if I've been calling you Juiced all these years, but cool. my ignorance on how to
it's cool.
Dutch names. But what is it about? Because you and I both love it. What is it about Hammond Oregon heavy guitars? Why are we like so addicted to this stuff? I mean, it's like the first time I heard this album, I'm like, listen to that, It's just I don't know what it is. I just can't live without that combination. What makes it so great?
I don't know if it's something I would have even liked if I wouldn't have heard Made in Japan or something. I don't know. Maybe it's that, that was the first rock album I heard. Maybe that started that whole fascination, or maybe I would have loved it anyway. But it's the real Hammond, and most of all, it's the Leslie. It's the distortion, and it's the speaker, revolving speaker, and stuff like that. And it's very funny. Joost comes here, and then he turning on the Hammond. You have the mics on, and you have the speaker going, and you get this click, and already you hear like this speaker going, and already then I'm like, oh yeah. So I especially in the 70s, anything that had Hammond. I got it.
You think about like all the classic stuff, right? I mean, I'm in my mind, I'm hearing like Ken Hensley and Mick Box on Gypsy from the first Uriah Heep.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
You can't beat it. You can't beat it. And
well, I worked with Ken Hensley on the Human Equation album, and for me, his sound, Hammond sound, is the coolest, even cooler than John Lord. And you mentioned Gypsy, and of course on the live album it has this huge where he's playing with the draw bars, and it's. I said, that's what I want in your solo. I want like the beginning of Gypsy. He said, I'll do it. So
I'll do it.
But then he sent me 6 versions, and I made kind of like a mix between all of them. And he lived in Spain at the moment, and I played it to him while he was walking in Spain somewhere on a beautiful mountain, and I still remember. Yeah, Ken Hensley, amazing.
Isn't it sad? Now you think about it, like 3 of the greatest Hammond Oregon rock players, Emerson, Lord, and Hensley, they're all gone.
Yeah. It's terrible, but you know what they left behind. I mean, Joost didn't know them, you know, when I first played with him. He was only 19 years old and he knew Dream Theater and stuff like that, but he never heard these guys. So I played him all that Hammond, and that basically it all comes from me, you know, playing him all that Hammond. But that's a great feeling somehow. And he doesn't copy any of them, you know. He really has his own
Well,
style
maybe,
there.
you know, you taught him well, obviously, but maybe because he was new to them and only really
True.
kind of started to enjoy their playing and get it, you know, maybe because it's so recent. Because there's something to be said when you kind of grow up and you have these influences, whatnot. You're going to it's going to become a part of you at some point. So because maybe he discovered these players
Oh yes.
later on
Oh
in
yes.
life, that he's playing in his own style, but
That's a good
he was
thing.
exposed to them, right?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Because at the Q&A yesterday, you know, people asked him who is your favorite keyboard player from the 70s. He couldn't say. He couldn't say. He just heard all these things I played him, and really he did not have one favorite, which is a good thing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because someone like him, he's probably like, well, you know, like you mentioned, Dream Theater. He's probably like, well, Kevin Moore or, you know, Derek
Yeah,
Shavinian or something, the more recent players, right? But
yeah. Well, I don't think they really use the real Hammond sound
no,
in Dream
no.
Theater. I never heard that really big roaring Hammond sound. I think.
Yeah, as far as like more modern players, because they're all
No,
using more modern equipment, right? That's basically giving them
and
the sound. Yeah.
yeah, and modern equipment is getting good. I have to say, you know, if you hear the MIDI Moogs now, the plugins, they're really good. But a Hammond, no way are you gonna like this Leslie, this distortion. No way you're gonna get that digitally. Maybe one day, you know, they can do anything, yeah, but not yet. So
Yeah.
I still have this huge Leslie speaker up in my attic, making a lot of noise every now and then. Yeah.
So now that this is out, and you've got the Arion shows coming up, what's next after that?
Well, as I said, I was approached by two people who asked me to record and write an album for them, and it was very challenging because one is like a retro project and one is like very modern. So I'm having a lot of fun with that at the moment. Unfortunately, I can't say anything about it yet. You know how it goes. But I'll be working on that for quite a while. One of them I made finish this year, and then the other one I'll start working on after the DVD is done. And
Are
then,
we when we hear about this, are we familiar with these bands or artists already?
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
for sure,
I'll ask no more.
for sure. Yes,
I'm sure you'll tell me when you can. So that's all.
I will definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Well, in the meantime, folks, the golden age of music is what you should be concentrating on from Arjen Lucassen's Supersonic Revolution. Check it out. Available on Mascot Records, at all your local CD. And is this available on vinyl too? I don't remember.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
many colors. Of course, purple.
Why not, right? Why not?
And pink and yellow, and yeah, I think some of them are sold out, so you got to be fast for the colored vinyl. But yeah, definitely vinyl.
And sorry, you won't have the signature that I have, but
No, and the stupid little puppet.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So once again, we want to thank Arion for coming on and chat with us a little bit. You know, in light of this brand new release, The Golden Age of Music by Supersonic Revolution. Please check it out. If you love classic sounds, this album rocks. It's catchy, melodic, memorable, and it'll give you all the warm and fuzzies for all those bands you grew up listening to. And I think that's the whole idea behind it. It's just a lot of fun. Really good band.
Oh
And
yes.
we hope to see you back sometime soon. We can talk more about maybe after the Arion shows are done. You want to give a recap of that? I'd be happy to have you on and talk a little bit about that.
For sure, Peter. Always,
Awesome.
always
And
fun.
Aryan watches us every day, so I'm amazed how much he always quotes little things that we've done and said on the air. So
I know.
I'm happy that
Yeah.
we're giving you some entertainment.
I love the show. Really. Yeah, I watch it all the time.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yep.
We appreciate that. And
Cool.
thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together. all the damn time. For Arjen Lucassen, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Stay tuned. We've got coming up here the UK Connection this afternoon, so don't miss that. And tomorrow we've got Ranking the Albums. Rich Catino is joining me. We will be ranking the catalog of Norwegian symphonic black metal act Teemo. So that's coming up tomorrow. So thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend. Take care.